From the Ticats Audio Network, this is Speaking with the Enemy.
And free agency just 1 week away in the Canadian Football League, and we're continuing our look around the league and speaking with the enemy. And today's enemy, the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. And yes, they certainly are the enemy. Darrin Bauming covers them for Bonfire Sports, and he's with us now. Darrin, last time I saw the Bombers, they were celebrating with a trophy on at Tim Hortons Field, and it looks like they're building to try and win a third one.
Yeah, I imagine that was some serious salt in the wound anytime you get an opportunity to host a championship game, a Grey Cup, and play on home field to not come away with the trophy for, the tens of thousands of fans that were there. That no doubt was a tough pill to swallow for the Ticats. Who knows? We might see these two teams facing each other again, in just a matter of months in Regina for Grey Cup 109, with just the way these teams are built, the bones, the culture, what Orlando Steinauer has done, what Mike O'Shea has done. But yeah, you're right, Louie. No doubt what the Winnipeg Blue Bombers have done early in free agency here has shown them to, there's something there. There's a reason why Adam Bighill comes back at less than $200,000 a year. That Jackson Jeffcoat does get a raise, but takes less money than he probably could have gotten other places. Now there's reports Kenny Lawler, the 2021 CFL receiving leader, the only receiver to hit 1,000 yards this year, unquestionably Zach Collaros' favorite target during the season, is getting a $250,000 offer from the BC Lions, who look to be, with new ownership, opening up the checkbook. So, do you chase the check? Do you stick with what you know? Grass is greener, maybe not always on the other side, but either way, when it comes to the big names, it's no question, the Blue Bombers, the Ticats, maybe even the Toronto Argonauts and the BC Lions that are kind of leading the conversation here, as we approach free agency opening soon.
How big of a fear was it in Winnipeg that maybe Zach Collaros would have tested the free agent market? What did you get from him after the season? Did you think he was going to maybe make it to February 8th? Obviously he didn't, but what was the sense when it came to Zach at the end of the season?
Well, with everybody, I think you kind of check your gut. And what's your gut going to tell you? And I had two schools of thought. If I can jam two entire schools into this little brain, Louie, and that was, number one, okay, you got Zach Collaros, who has had an up and down career as far as what he's been able to accomplish on the field, and injuries and all of those sorts of things. For him to be an MOP, to do something that he fell just short of with the Hamilton Tiger Cats, and that's win a Grey Cup and win an MOP and be the hero quarterback that he is obviously capable of being, that this was his opportunity to take full advantage of the type of caliber player he is and the paycheck that goes with it. The other school of thought is, okay, it's been Toronto and then Hamilton and then Saskatchewan and then Winnipeg, or Toronto again, and then Winnipeg. And, that road, that weary traveled road that is, being a number two quarterback or a starting quarterback and, marrying a Southern Ontario girl and wanting to establish a family and plant some roots and to, maybe get a chance to go back there. But I think for Zach Collaros, with having that crazy road, to know what he has in Winnipeg, to know that he can be successful here, to know that he's got good protection. You're not starting with a more of a building franchise. Like, okay, do they got a right tackle? Do we got a strong run game? He knows what he has here in Winnipeg. He's got familiarity with the offensive system and OC Buck Pierce. I think for Zach Collaros at this juncture of his career, stability very much outweighs, again, that greener grass on the other side. And I think for him, it was kind of a no-brainer. He's really, connected with the culture and with the organization here with the Blue Bombers.
You mentioned the word culture, and, with the Ticats who have re-signed, the Ticats that I've talked to, a lot of them have preached the culture that Orlando Steinauer has created here, and they don't want to play anywhere else. I have to imagine it's kind of the same situation with what Mike O'Shea has built in Winnipeg. What is it about that locker room? What is it about Coach O'Shea that players don't seem to feel the need to chase, not bigger paydays, but like you say, greener pastures elsewhere.
It's kind of like a snowball effect, right? Where if you get certain players to buy in and know the value of what Mike O'Shea brings, what the Blue Bombers organization values and holds true, everybody kind of follows along. And, you ask what it is about Mike O'Shea and the culture that attracts those players to want to stay. And it's exactly that. It's that, they're treated like men. They're treated professionally, and they're valued as human beings, not just, number 56. Oh yeah, number 22. Like they're a man. They go to work, they do their job. And I think more than anything, they're not playing for the coach. They're not playing for their agent or their next contract. They're not playing just for the fans. They're playing for their teammates. They say it over and over again here in Winnipeg. I don't want to let my teammate down. I want to get on the field. I want to make my block. I want to make my catch. I want to make my tackle. I want to, ensure my assignment is sharp. So my teammate is proud of me. So I'm accountable to him lining up next to me or lining up on the other side of the ball during practice. I think that culture of, Mike O'Shea allowing the players to govern themselves in the locker room. Mike O'Shea, says, I don't go in there. That's their space. Yeah. And I think the players really value that, the Adam Bighills, the Willie Jeffersons, the Zach Collaros, Andrew Harris, Pat Neufeld, all of those longtime veterans that know what it takes to win, to know what it takes to be a professional, bring everybody along with them. And they don't have to look at, a 55-year-old man and be like, okay, am I doing what he wants me to do? It's my teammate right next to me. Am I doing what Adam Bighill wants me to do? And I think that keeps them motivated to go to work and do a good job every day. And it becomes infectious. I think that's why guys just want to, keep the band together, which the Blue Bombers have done now for a few years.
You mentioned keeping the band together. Most of the offensive line is back. Obviously, Zach's back. Defensively, I mean, there's a lot of continuation from what they've done the last 2 years. But you mentioned Lawler. He might be, somebody who tests the free agent market and might be gone. Where do you see maybe a hole, maybe depth? Where do you think the Bombers will be the most active come this week in this legal tampering period and come February 8th when they can announce these things?
I love how they call it the legal tampering period.
Yeah, I know, right?
Very CFL, but it's an interesting time right now. If I can't blame a guy for a second if he wants to work to secure his financial future in this fleeting professional football world where your career could be over tomorrow. So, whether Kenny Lawler gets an opportunity in the NFL, he worked out for the Atlanta Falcons a little while earlier. They signed DeAndre Alford, the Blue Bombers' most outstanding rookie from 2021, the defensive back, heck of a player. I think those are two positions that might see a lot of change at receiver here in Winnipeg and at defensive back. Running back is another spot. What does the future hold for Andrew Harris? How will his body hold up through, following a really injury-plagued season in 2021? We know when he's healthy and on the field, he's very hard to stop and shows flashes of, I shouldn't even say flashes, but consistent streaks of being the vintage player that we know him to be and a future Hall of Famer. But Brady Oliveira, Johnny Augustine, two very talented Canadians. I don't know if they're going to be able to keep all three of those guys under contract going into this season. It goes beyond Lawler. Dembski and Wolotarski, they're two Canadians, are under contract. But, there's Rashid Bailey, there's Darvin Adams, there's some other veterans there that there could be some changeover. But Kyle Walters has said it 5 years ago, as he said it to us just over a week ago, Louie. He builds his team at the line of scrimmage. Job number one, when Christmas passed and it's okay, let's get down to business here, was secure the offensive line and the defensive line. Now he said he's moved on to defensive back. Brandon Alexander is a big free agent who underwent surgery, according to a report from Farhan Lalji, could very likely miss a good chunk of the 2022 season. So that kind of adds a wrinkle to things. Missing out on DeAndre Alford, Winston Rose reportedly re-signing as well. There's always change in defensive backfields in the CFL, no matter the team. But that's obviously going to be one in addition to running back and receiver here in Winnipeg.
We saw in the Grey Cup how important it was for the Ticats to have two starting quarterbacks ready to go, or two great quarterbacks ready to go. Obviously, we know Zach, and he was healthy but we also know that, and it's unfair to put the injury prone on him. But that being said, he has a history of concussions, of head injuries. What's their quarterback depth chart look like? Could you see them, trying to see what's out there to try and kind of give Zach a little bit of cushion in practice?
Yeah, I'm glad you brought it up, because it's a position group here in Winnipeg that often gets overlooked because of the star power of Zach Collaros and the amazing story that he has been as their starter since taking over late in 2019 and making those impressive runs to Grey Cup championships. But at number 2 and number 3, they've been question marks here in Winnipeg really since Matt Nichols left and Chris Streveler departed to the NFL as well. Sean McGuire has shown great skill set, great poise and leadership, but in limited time in games, he has not shown a real punch or a bang for the buck. And then Drew Brown, who was on the practice roster last year, the Blue Bombers have re-signed him and brought him back for 2022. Whether they do the same for Sean McGuire and are comfortable with young and inexperienced and unproven number 2 and number 3 behind Collaros, we'll have to wait and see. What I wonder, Louie, is that there's going to be a lot of quarterback movement, as there often is in CFL off seasons. Trevor Harris, Jeremiah Mazzoli, what's happening in Montreal, like Matthew Schultz. There's reports over the last couple of days that he's going to hit the free agent market, a nice kind of veteran piece. You can get through a game if you need him to, or get some spot starts and still get some wins. If Winnipeg wants to invest that money into a number 2 quarterback, I'm a little bit more cautious. I think I'm a little bit more cold on that. Winnipeg, as everybody can see, is spending a lot of money on Jamarcus Hardrick and Stanley Bryant, all pro offensive tackles, Jackson Jeffcoat and Willie Jefferson and Adam Bighill. And I mentioned Brandon Alexander still needing a deal, and those talented running backs. There's a lot of high caliber players that they have to give worthwhile contracts to. They might take $10,000 or $15,000 less to stay in Winnipeg. They know they'll very likely make that money back in playoff bonuses, and they want to win championships, that being more valuable, like we were talking about. But in the end, can you spend money on, a Justin Medlock again? Probably not. Can you spend money on a $150,000 number 2 quarterback? Probably not. That's why I'm cautious. Winnipeg would potentially be in the market there. You got to find value where the potential for value is. And to me, that's a young quarterback that can step in and win.
Darrin, always appreciate catching up. Nice to see the champs are still, and I say that, not reluctantly, they are the champs, but nice to see that they're continuing to build up, and it's always great for the CFL as the Bombers trying to become the first three-peat since Edmonton won 5 in a row from 78 to 82. Can they do it? We will have to wait and see. Darrin Bauming of Bonfire Sports, thanks so much for doing this. Appreciate it.
Good to be with you, Louie. Thanks, man.